Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Richest Men in Town podcast. I'm Mike Freeman, and along with my good friend and co-host Tyler Gould, we're excited to welcome you to our little podcast project. Tyler and I are just a couple of middle-aged husbands and dads driven to live our best lives. We want to be better every day, so here we'll be sitting down with great people. Not famous people, but great people that we admire, to learn their secret to living the rich life. Probably not the rich life you're thinking of. Our guests come in humbled and surprised at the invitation and hopefully leave feeling proud and grateful, realizing just how good they really have it. So pull up a chair, stay a while, and raise a glass with us as we toast our guests to the richest men in town. While I got this fresh on my mind, I just want to throw this out there.
Yeah.
After having, binged, I-80 is a long stretch of desert wasteland.
It has RMIT written all over it.
Right? So I hit it hard, and I got to say, your mic is much better than mine. And
buttery smooth?
Buttery. And there's a depth. There's a depth to it.
Okay.
Where you're sounding like, I'm sounding like tinkling brass a little bit.
Come on now.
And so I think I need to go get, I'm gonna throw something out there on the Christmas list.
Okay.
And we'll see if I've been naughty or nice. But I'm hoping that I'll be able to. So I'm probably gonna need some specs.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, look, I'm a believer in the Shure mic, right? And that's what this is. And it was recommended for podcasts, a couple $100.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I'll send you the model and all that kind of business.
Yeah. No offense to the good people of Blue Snowball. This episode is brought to you by Blue Snowball, and that has been my mic of choice. And we are coming into the evolution of this podcast project. We are beyond, I believe we're in the 30s.
I believe this is
3.0.
This is 3.0 right here.
Here we are. Right. Yeah. And so Blue Snowball, you've been very good to us. Now, Blue Snowball, if you happen to have something that would be competitive to my co-host Mike, then by all means, you can shoot us an email.
And absolutely,
and we would gladly take your free merchandise.
Absolutely. And just to clarify, we have recommended the Blue Snowball to others.
True.
So it continues to be high on our list.
And others, we not only push our own podcast, we push that very hard. I push that very hard over Thanksgiving break.
Right.
But we are pushing podcasting in general.
Absolutely.
So we've had a couple of conversations with people that think they have something to say, and we're like, absolutely. Buzzsprout, shout out to Buzzsprout.
Yeah.
And the folks at Blue Snowball. Yeti?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Snowball.
Yeah. So so this happened in my world.
Whoa.
Yeah, this happened.
Whoa.
The big 4-6 rolls into town and
no. Can we go there? Can we just go there really quick? Because I'm dying to know. So you're referring to prescription glasses.
Yeah. I've been dancing a dance with those for a little while. Maybe there's a bit of denial attached to that dance. But yeah, so I go in and I thought, I'm gonna bite the bullet and get my eyes checked.
Hold on. So what have you been noticing? Like difficulty reading things? Your arms aren't long enough to read things,
I think
you're running over 3-year-olds while you're driving. What are you noticing?
Yeah, but that takes a while for me to pick up on because that's been a habit for many years. No, I sit in front of the computer. I work on the computer a lot, right, for work. And then when I read in the evening or in the mornings, it's hard for me to get that close vision. So don't need them yet for distance, but it's just for working on computer and reading. So I'm going to be that guy. Right?
It's a good look,
that guy who's like, let me, I'm not excited about it, but it is what it is. And
you know what though, your credibility, when you put those on, your credibility just like went up 10 points.
It just goes, yeah.
Like, well, hold on, that guy kind of looks like he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, I could repeat the same sentence I said a week ago, but it sounds better today.
Oh yeah, and then when you do pull it off and do that chew on the ear, on the nose, like on the earpiece.
Right. Wasn't there a commercial about that? Right. Yeah. So that
So
happened.
you're not progressive or anything like that.
No, I mean, he's like, you know what? In a few years, you probably need to go that route. But for now, you're good. So yeah, that's I'm coming to terms with that.
Well,
But
I don't know if
I
you
will
know.
say this:
I don't know
did
if you
play
know
in a
my
turkey bowl.
story. I don't know if you know my
Okay,
story
let's hear it.
here, but like I used to rock the contacts, and then when I found out I could sleep in them, that's all I did. Right.
Okay.
So Kelly would be like, "Hey, we should look into LASIK." I'm like, "Why do I need LASIK? I got these things I just sleep in." And she's like, "That's really not good for you." So I took a break from him, and I just never went back to him.
Yeah.
Turkey Bowl comes up.
Okay.
So I throw the contacts in, right? Because you can't be that guy.
Right.
I sleep with them. I leave them in. I wake up the next morning and I look like hungover. Like my eyes are shot.
They're red. They're almost on the verge of bleeding.
Yeah. So I definitely can't be doing that anymore.
Yeah, I did play in a turkey bowl on Thanksgiving.
Okay, we need to dedicate some time to this.
Yeah, I agree.
Are you ready to discuss this?
I'm ready. Yeah.
Okay, I'm really hoping I'm going to hear your report and then I'm going to give you mine.
Okay. So I actually rolled up to the turkey bowl with the thought that I am going to play quarterback because I don't want to run all that much this year. And so that was in my mind. And I didn't bring my knee brace, so that was partially there as well. So I roll in, and I got another guy who's like, "Hey, man, my back, I got to be quarterback." So of course I'm just like, "Done, you're quarterback. Like, let's do this." And I'm just running like a freaking maniac for the entire however many games we play, right? And finally, I'm like, "All right, look, I got to play quarterback for a few throws." This is towards the end of the event. So I get the ball, one pass, pick. Not only is it a pick, but it's a pick six. He is running from the end zone that I'm throwing the ball to the other end zone. And I am irritated that I threw this pass, errant throw. So I chase him down and dive full on like I'm 20 years old, because I'm 20 years old, right? I run, shoulder hits him. I spin around. Long story short is I subbed myself out of the game after that. I had to go to the sideline. I was like, I stood back. I said, "All right, let's go." And then I'm like, "Hey, why don't you come in? I'll sit down." My back has been sore for ever since Thursday. So today's like the first day I've felt.
Tyler Gould, I could hug you right now. Check this out.
Yeah.
So this is now our third consecutive Thanksgiving in Utah, which is unusual, right?
Yeah.
So we are actually developing third as a trend, right? We are actually developing a turkey bowl scene.
Yes.
2 years ago, we roll up on an elementary school. Our cars, like the people in my group, just happen to match up numbers with the people in their group.
Yeah. Beautiful.
And we dominate.
Yeah.
And I pull your card and I say, "I'm just going to queue because that's what I can contribute here."
Yeah.
Fantastic. But at that point, throwing a football is one of the top 5 things I can do.
Right. Absolutely.
Right. Like we'll get into that later, right? I can roll a mean sleeping bag. I mean, there's some things.
Yeah. Right.
But that was always like my pride.
Yeah.
Last year was blizzard conditions. So huge asterisk, right?
Yeah.
A lot of fun,
Right.
But it was like, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Well, this year, wake up to 3 inches.
Oh,
right. Yeah. That wasn't in the forecast at all. So we roll into a high school, so different venue, but we see some folks gathering. And so I've got a car full and I say, "Hey, here's the deal. Don't learn their names because it makes it personal. They're just victims." Right. So we roll out of the car, 7 strong. They've got 7. We're lacing them up. Our 52-year-old representative in the group goes over as an ambassador and says, "Hey, can we crash your game?
Yeah.
Can we just match up straight up?"
I like it. Yeah.
And they said, "I don't know, man. You guys look kind of athletic."
Whoa, I like that. That's good.
That's nice, right?
Yeah, that's nice.
So literally, I throw 2 10-yard warm-up throws.
Yeah.
45, right?
Yeah.
45 years old.
Right. Right.
And then it's on.
Yeah. Who needs more than that for crying out loud?
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Right.
I'm quarterback.
Yeah.
First route, quick slant behind him.
Yeah.
Second route, I do a nod out to my wideout on the left, who's like 25 and blazing fast, and I'm just going to bomb it.
Yeah.
No. I throw a pick.
Yeah.
Right? And so, needless to say, here's how bad it went.
Yeah.
Now I know my limits, and eventually I give up the ball. On the second drive, on the second possession, I throw one throw. I miss a guy wide open on a post.
Yeah.
My son later tells me, doesn't tell me in the moment, but later tells me that after that throw, one of the defenders said, "Oh, we've got Phillip Rivers here."
Oh, that hurts. That stings.
So Abe says, "I almost told you that, Dad, so it would light your inner fire." Because that's about as bad as you can get.
Yeah, that's
Phillip Rivers reference. So needless to say, I do have one successful drive resulting in a touchdown where the guy has to go down and dig it out.
Nice.
Which is fine. You throw it where only your guy can get it.
That's right. Where the receiver can get it.
And then I go to I'm two downs quarterback, 2 downs not.
Yeah.
And I do end it on an out route, scary throw, out route to my son who catches it, turns it up, and it was last score wins kind of thing, right?
Beautiful.
Those guys were done.
Thing.
So that's how we went out. So here's where I'm coming from, Tyler Gould. Like, I am at a crossroads. I know the shoulder is not well.
Yeah.
There's just some things, right?
Right.
There's some things that I am doing that as I'm doing them, I'm feeling like, ouch, that kind of hurts.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so I knew that there was going to be some limitations. I had no idea how bad it was. I was truly humbled on Thanksgiving Day, but I am a 45-year-old person staring at this choice. Either I get in shape,
yeah,
or I stop playing Turkey Bowl.
Oh, okay. Let's talk about this for a second, because I will say,
help me out. Because
I even with the back hurting like it was, I did walk away thinking, oh, I got several more years. I did feel that way.
Okay.
You know, here's the thing. Like I had, so most of the game, there was one guy matching up on me, one guy, younger guy. I would say mid-20s, right? And a talker, just a talker. Like
I'm a talker too.
Talking to me the whole time. Like, oh, telling me that, he's breathing hard, man, this guy. So I went to the quarterback at one point and I said, listen, I don't want to sound cocky, but I can run by this guy all day long and you could just throw it over the top and it's a touchdown every single time.
Hold on. Can I stop you right there?
Yeah. Yeah.
I know we're doing the jogging thing. I know we're doing the 10 miles per week. When's the last time you ran, like sprinted before Turkey Bowl?
Oh, no, please. November 26th, 2019.
Okay.
All right. So
that's a dangerous game.
Although
right?
I take that back. I have played in a few soccer games. And so maybe some, but nothing sustained.
Because that thought went through my mind, right? Like I haven't actually like sprinted.
Well, I will tell you this. I ran a little button hook, right? Got the ball, turned squared up on the guy that was talking and left him in the dust and scored. Now the elders, we had some missionaries playing with us. They came up to me after that and said, man, you can really run. You're pretty quick for an old guy. That's what they said.
You know what? At this stage, I'll take that.
I said,
because here's my button hook story, right?
Yeah. I
take a button hook. So I end up with maybe 4 or 5 catches.
Right.
I'm like your check down.
Yeah.
I'm like your security blanket,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I'm like your, maybe like a tight end,
Yeah.
maybe like a Witten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or a fullback.
Yeah, fullback, back in the day, right?
Right.
But I make my button hook move. I turn and I catch it, and because I'm a talker, I turn and I got one guy to beat, right?
Yeah.
And I literally say out loud, "Oh, in a younger day," and I succumb to being tagged out. So this is like legit. So I'm taking up valuable richest men in town time because like the thought as I got in the car was, did you contribute?
Yeah.
And why are you still doing this if you're not contributing?
Well,
because you and I could say a name right now. I won't.
Yeah.
Because I respect people, and this person may be listening to the show.
Yeah.
But you and I can both think of people that overstayed their welcome.
This is true.
With regards to Turkey Bowl. And I do not want to necessarily fall into that category.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, well, here's two things, right? One is you are still playing with your son. So
Correct.
that is, to me, that's a must.
Can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah.
I got to pause you on your list there because that actually adds to it. Because for the first time, second time, I actually saw I saw the perception that he has of his dad go down a couple rungs.
Well,
right in front of me. Right?
Yeah, that's tough. I think that, but I think at boys that age are looking for opportunities to kick the stool out from under their dad. I mean, it's like when Quinn was still here, it was every time I was standing next to him in a room, he was like, man, I'm a lot taller than you these days. Right. So they're always looking for ways to remind you that they got a leg up. But I think that my thing is, I think that you keep playing as long as your son is playing, and as long as he wants you to be playing with him. I mean, look, this was my first Turkey Bowl without Quinn. I mean, I've been taking that guy to the Turkey Bowl since he was probably 2 years old, running around the sideline with other 2-year-olds, and then
how are you with that?
It's a drag, man. Yeah. Like you want him to be there, and so Turkey Bowl when I was young was all because I just loved playing football. But at some point it became about the pride of going out there and playing with your son and watching him tear people up, So that's changed. So now I'm that guy without any kids at the Turkey Bowl. Maybe that's a little weird, right? So maybe I'll be forced into retirement at some point, but I did walk away feeling like I got a couple more years to go.
Okay. So I'm going to assume that position as well, but the Phillip Rivers, dude.
Yeah, that stings.
Okay. Phillip Rivers it's right up there with when I was at Popeyes trying to score those chicken sandwiches that were in demand back in the day. Right. And a couple of basketball players from the local JUCO here in town called me the white dude from Soul Plane. We proceed to leave with our chicken sandwiches. We get in the car and Google the white dude from Soul Plane, and that is the one and only Tom Arnold, right? Like Mr. Rosenbar.
Yeah, that's there's always I've had those moments, man.
Careful, because you know what did it? The glasses.
Yeah.
Careful.
Well, yeah.
You put those glasses on, all of a sudden you're not looking like One Republic lead singer. Right? Because I've given you that. You're not getting Macklemore. You're getting like, oh, there's the weatherman. Right?
So I'm trying not to wear those out in public. So yeah, that's true. That's funny, man. I think that as long as you're having fun, I think that's what it counts. Plus, I think too, like you're as old, I know people that are our age that operate like they're 75. It's like activities are like, I don't do that. I don't like to do that anymore because I got hurt once, and I get it. Look, I mean, you want to be safe. I don't have that part of my brain that's firing all the time. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And then, they drag me out on a stretcher. I'm like, that probably wasn't good, but
don't tell mom.
Yeah,
don't tell mom.
Yeah, that's my kids have heard that many times, but I think that there's a balance there, right? You gotta be active to be, I mean, we were running 10 miles a week, but I'm running, honestly, the only is so I can do other things that I enjoy doing, like a turkey bowl every now and again.
Yeah. Hey, can I totally leave the script here?
Yeah, let's get off a turkey bowl.
So I am committed. You've talked me off the ledge. I'm back in it. There's no way I'm giving that thing up next year.
All right, good.
And I'm coming back in better shape, right? And I think that gets into maybe some New Year's stuff, and we can pick those things up.
Yeah, right.
We've got some challenges and some things that we're working on. I just had an opportunity over the break to really get into some of our previous episodes.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to take a minute, and I wanted to just throw some things out there that I'm kind of grateful for.
Okay? Let's hear it.
I don't know if you remember our boy Dave Specht.
I do.
Love that episode. And if you remember, he was going through some scary health conditions with his dad.
Yeah, absolutely. I do remember that.
And I don't know if you saw, but on his social media feed, as part of his gratitude, his week of gratitude and using social media as our kind of our gratitude journal, he posted somewhat of a miracle. I think he even used that word, that
he did.
His dad was able to give the prayer.
Yeah, that was great.
Family's Thanksgiving dinner. So that warms my heart. I'm also my heart's warmed up as I think about our good friend Chad Richards.
Yeah.
And he's out there making the circuit. I think he's home now, but he spent 2 months making the circuit for medical programs.
Yeah, residency programs. Yeah.
Right after he graduates from medical school. So heart's full of gratitude for the time he gave us, and I just hope good things happen for Chad and his family. I want to throw that out there. Also, if you remember a recent guest, Lupe Cordova.
Yeah.
In his episode, he talks about he was grateful for so many things, but he mentions his in-laws.
Yeah.
And he mentioned his mother-in-law had a procedure coming up.
Absolutely.
I believe it was the next day after we recorded.
I believe you're right.
And she crushed it, man.
That's awesome.
She crushed it. She was supposed to be in there for several hours for extensive recovery. I think she was out in an hour. So
that's fantastic.
And that was a pretty significant surgery in her battle with cancer. So we're sending some positive vibes out to Lupe Cordova's family and Lupe's mother-in-law. And then to Rajiv Patnik, Connecting the Dots episode way back, I think single digits.
Maybe, yeah, it was early on.
Like maybe 6 or 9 or something, but
yeah.
His mom is doing better as well. I think at the time she had recently also gone through a medical scare. Our boy has good things happening. There's exciting things happening for Rajiv, and I'm grateful for his friendship, grateful for the time he gave us.
Yes,
and grateful for good things. Nobody deserves it more than Rajiv. So that's exciting.
Wholeheartedly, absolutely.
So that's a quick, brief overview survey of some of the follow up regarding some of our the ins and outs in the lives of our guests after the show. So
yeah.
I wanted to.
No, I'm glad that you did. I'm glad that you did. I think it's good to check in and kind of hear how everyone's doing. And life goes on after the show, right? It's kind of funny. We recount so many things in the show, and sometimes we, thank goodness some of our guests are gracious enough to share some tough things that are going on in their lives. But life continues, and they're still dealing with some of those tough things after the show happens. And so it's nice to catch up and kind of hear an update of how they're doing, how their family's doing, and that things are obviously still a challenge, but they're looking up in some areas.
Yeah. And here's one of the challenges that I'm going to throw out to you. I got some feedback. I was reaching out to a guy that I just love. that I admire. He's been early on, and I'm still efforting on that to get this guy on the show. So I don't want to spoil anything by dropping a name, but in the process, in the back and forth, there was just some discussion about, man, all of your guests sound so polished. and Mike, I'm just not there.
Yeah. It's interesting, Mike. I think that is a common stream of thought from every one of our guests that have come in, from the very beginning to Dave Voigtlander, who was our last guest that we had on the show. I mean, everybody feels that same sense of inadequacy, that they're not quite there yet. And I certainly hope, I mean, the intention of bringing on those guests is to showcase the unpolished life. And sometimes we, at the end, when we end with that question, what does it mean to you to be the richest man in town? Everyone takes a moment and spends time recounting blessings and good things that have come in their life, and sort of having that realization that, hey, maybe they're at a good spot. But that, as I mentioned earlier, life goes on. It's been a bumpy road up to the recording, and it'll be a bumpy road after the recording. And I hope that anybody who puts this episode or any of our episodes on understands that we're highlighting mile markers along the journey, and what happens between 2 mile markers is unpolished, right? And is dirty at times, and
it's work, right?
It's work. And we need to be able to embrace that. And so, what I would say to your friend who said that to you is that comment qualifies you as one of the richest men in town, period.
When I would say, without offending prior guests, I love our guests and I love what they've given to us.
Yep.
If we unintentionally presented a polished, finished product to our listeners, that's not the intent.
Yeah. Because
the intent is snapshot of that guest at that time and looking back and looking forward, but in no way presenting anything remotely like, and this one's done.
Right. And if we invited our listeners into the editing room, right, when we're putting these together, if there's not anything being edited out, right, we may edit sound levels and those kind of things, but we don't edit things out because we want that to come across as real and as authentic as we can present it to our listeners.
Yeah.
And honestly, I want to take it in as real and as authentic as possible, because that is what motivates me to try and lift my game. And that's a struggle in and of itself. Right.
Yeah. Can I also throw out another thing? There are so many things that I'm excited about as I look at where we've been and where we're going with this project. I just want to throw out a disclaimer. So here we are, episode 30. For the folks that have supported us, thank you so much for jumping in, right? Whether you jumped in at 29 or you were there at the launch. Thank you for the time, because these are, when we say pull up a chair, we're saying pull up a chair because, we're looking at an hour and a half to 2 hours for these hauls. But one of the things that I'm really excited about is we're going to go places with some guests that may seem like we're not necessarily talking to the guy next door anymore.
Right.
We've got some guests lined up that are doing some pretty exciting things. And there's maybe some significant either numbers and stats or scale of the work they're doing, or maybe even like Olympic athletes, right? I just don't want our listeners to think, oh, we're leaving the guy next door.
Yeah, because I think that it's important for people to understand. And when we sit down off of the air and talk about the guests that we want for this show, it always is about the journey to where they are now, right? Whether that be an Olympic athlete or whether that be a father of 6 who coaches his 5-year-old soccer team, it doesn't matter. What we want to learn from is the journey, right? And one journey is not better than the other journey. It's just
and
a
I
journey.
think that if a journey is taking somebody to level of success where maybe there's even some fame, that's worth exploring too.
Yeah,
I'm really
it's all
excited
worth
about that.
exploring.
I'm really excited about that. And the problem is when I share that excitement in my conversations with maybe even prospective guests, they hear that and they're like, well, wait a minute. Like, that's not me. And it's like, I get it. I get that that's not you. We are simply trying to be better together, right? Stronger together. And if you have an ingredient to that formula, we're coming after you.
Yeah. And
right?
I think
and we want you on the show.
I think it's important for us and for our listeners to know that we regardless of who's on the show, we remain true to the vision of the show, which is exploring our journeys together and learning from each other. And that's it, so.
Yeah. And I think as we say goodbye to November and we really turn to that most wonderful time of the year, at least, I mean, for me, my family, and thinking about what the holiday season means before we totally, I don't want Thanksgiving to feel like that speed bump on our way to Christmas. Right. But like, we do have so much to be thankful for. And I'm a thankful guy as it is, but standing where I stand in my life, thanks to the work I've done with you, my good friend, my heart this Thanksgiving season was overflowing.
Yeah, I agree.
Overflowing with the lives of people that I thought I knew. And through this work, I got to know better. And then perfect strangers.
Yep.
That turned into just great friends and great teachers. And I just want to say thanks to our whole town, right?
Yeah, I agree.
I want to say thanks to all of our guests because you're now in the stories that I'm telling around my Thanksgiving table.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important that we recognize how lucky you and I have been over the last several months to sit down with the people that we've sat down with. I mean, I think, I'm constantly in awe of the stories that have been told and the vulnerability that has been on display on this show. And it's inspiring. And so I'm looking forward to what's coming up next because we do have a lot of big things happening with Richest Men in Town. And it's something that we're excited to take on, and we're excited to bring our listeners along with us.
Yeah. So really quick on the intern update. So my daughter and your daughter are interns for the program. My daughter has just submitted her application for a mission, following the example of folks like Sydney Gould. So thank you, Sydney, for kind of laying that down for my daughter to follow. So we are looking at like, well, what does that look like? Right. So we're maybe in an intern transition. So hopefully that doesn't interrupt with some of the show art and things that our interns do for us. But we do want to thank Grace Freeman. Thank you for the work that you have done.
It's a big part of the show. Part of the show.
Yeah. And I think that's I think that's key. Is there anybody else? I mean, in the season, in the spirit of gratitude, are there any thoughts in particular that you have, Tyler Gould, regarding?
I think that and we've mentioned this before, but I think that we definitely need to express our gratitude towards our wives for their support and letting us take away time. It's funny, when we first started doing this, we thought, we'll talk for a couple hours a week and that'll be that, and we'll throw it up, and it's turned into 6 or 7 hours a week, and plus all the time that we take off the air, not on a call with each other, working on different projects for the show. So there's a lot of time away, and they support it. And I think my wife's support, and I will say Kelly's support, has been inspiring and inspired me to want to push this thing even further down the road.
Yeah, I think that's a challenge. You mentioned, like there's a river going through our life and our kids are getting older. And unfortunately, a lot of times when I'm with you recording and my kid is off at work and my daughter was off at college, that meant my wife was hanging out by herself, right? So so I would 100% agree that that's a very important recognition, and we would be dead without that support. Like it would be done.
Yeah, it wouldn't be happening.
So yeah, exciting things to come. And usually when we have our pre-show, I'll end up, our guests will start telling stories, and I'll say something like, whoa, man, you gotta keep your powder dry, right? We don't be telling us things in the pre-show, because we want this to be coming up naturally in our call.
Yeah.
In an effort to keep our powder dry, there are some things that are coming up in our Richest Men in Town line of work that we're excited about. I'm not going to necessarily reveal those things, but can we talk about next week?
Yeah, I mean, we've got stuff happening, man.
So we've tried this before, and it was amazing the first time we did it. Right about halfway, we reached out to prior guests and said, "Come on the show, let's talk." And now that we're in episode 30, there's a whole nother batch of people that haven't necessarily had that opportunity to come back. And we always end it with, "We love you. We want to do this again." So this time around, we have a young, huge fan of the program, and we're going to bring him in. He's expecting his first child. The due date is December 30th. And so we're assembling another RMIT panel of previous guests, and we're going to kind of pour into this young, expecting father, right? Words of wisdom, things, lessons maybe even learned the hard way. So new line of questions. We will be getting into the life of our young fan, and then we'll be opening up the waiting room and bringing in some guests. And so I'm excited I want to thank the guys that have agreed to come back. They were nervous the first time around. They'll be just as nervous the second time around.
Yeah.
But it's really going to be a celebration of fatherhood, right? Taking us back a little bit to those feelings of what the heck am I getting into? And, and we'll be tipping our hat again. We're going out to great dads and saying, "Hey, let's help out a guy who really doesn't have a clue what's coming at him."
Yeah, it'll be a fun opportunity. And we've got, we've got guys coming back on the show that have a lot of experience with fatherhood, that are going to be able to shed some light on some things, and probably better than you and I could, for sure. So I'm excited to learn from those guys and get their perspective on fatherhood. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, should be fun. Hopefully we'll be able to add our 2 cents as well, right?
Yeah, I've got a few tricks up my sleeve, that
because we've gone young. I mean, Alan Michael Boaston, right?
That's right.
But we're actually in mid-20s, early 20s on this next one. So that's a fun season.
That is a fun time. Yeah,
fun
absolutely.
Season in life.
Absolutely. So look, we've got, our next show is going to be a ton of fun. We've got some really exciting things coming up coming into the new year. And just to if we can just mention a few things, right? And we won't go into any great detail, but
keep your powder dry.
That's right. We had the opportunity to be interviewed by a publication, and we'll be sharing that with our listeners once that is published, and once we get those copies. We're excited about that. It's a way to kind of for us to share this message a little bit further and widen our audience a little bit. So that's exciting. Do you want to tease anything else, Mike, or are we just going to keep the lid on it, man?
I'm not a marketing guru, right? So I'm just going to throw it out there to say we are efforting, and we are looking at some attempts at cross-pollination.
Yeah.
You might call it, right? Reaching out to folks that do what we're doing, maybe to a larger scale, and things that we really admire, maybe even have patterned our work after. And the thinking would be that we would be connecting with them. Same idea, right? Looking at their life, looking at the choices that they've made, and getting into the lessons that they've learned.
Yeah.
Through the lives that they've, taken a look at in their work. And so I'm excited to see where that will go.
And the flip side of that is that we will have an opportunity to have a bit of our own medicine, as we've been invited on a few shows as well recently. And so after we hear how we performed, we might share that with you. If we don't share it with you, then we didn't do so hot, right? So that's how that'll shake out.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where that goes. And then two, let me see. I feel like I can tread lightly here. So Tyler Gould, when people ask me what Richest Men in Town is, I'm actually trying these days to leave out the word podcast. Yeah. And where that's going is we're working right now on a launch, right? Where we're trying to maybe even use other formats, not just the podcast format, but looking at blogs.
Yeah, we've our website is richestmenintown.com, and we invite you to go take a look at it and look at the blogs that are there now. But we'd love to get your feedback. I mean, for us, Mike, and you and I have talked about this, that this is in our minds more of a movement than it is just a podcast, and so we want to we want to be able to spread that is in as many forms as we can. And so there's going to be a lot of new things upcoming, and I'm in an attempt to keep my powder dry. I'll stop talking about it right now, but yeah, some good stuff.
Can I just share out with our listeners? Here's what kind of big picture Richest Men in Town is about. Recently, we have developed even a mission statement, and I'm just going to share this out, right? Yeah. Just to kind of let people know, like a little bit of dreaming here. Here at Richest Men in Town, we believe that there are powerful lessons in the lives of others, and we find joy in discovering these moments. Our relationships with our guests are everything, and they're forged through a commitment to curiosity, understanding, and listening. Humility and compassion mark our journey together. Through authentic and vulnerable sharing, we unveil the richness of a life well lived in the middle of the hard things we all experience. We honor these rich men as our heroes, and their stories are gifts. We receive them with gratitude and grace, and we do all that we can to share these gifts with the world, with the hope of lifting ourselves and others to a better place. So that's what Richest Men in Town. If I'm in an elevator and I got 2 minutes to break it down, that's what we envision this work to be.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's good to, I think that, it's good to have some concrete framework as to how we want this thing to move forward. And I want to make sure that our listeners know that we're committed to what this project started out as and what it will continue to be, which is in all formats, an effort for us to try to learn to be better, try to learn to make the changes necessary to be better, and encourage each other to get to the next level. And so we're committed to that, and I'm excited to see what that looks like in 2021. I mean, for crying out loud, I'm excited to see what 2021 looks like, period.
Get it here. Let's go.
Just get it here and move on. But yeah, it's
hey, if I could just happening along that line, I do want folks to know that we are trying to walk that walk. The commitments that we make to each other, the challenges that we make to each other, we extend out to our listeners, but we really are trying to do that work, that polishing work, right? Where we're trying to knock off those rough edges. I do thank you, Tyler, for the thoughts on kindness in the last episode, right? And just talking about trying to look for opportunities to be kind. Other night, I think I texted you about this the other night. I thought it'd be kind to pick up the car behind me in the In-N-Out drive-through. $38 later, brother.
Yeah, I meant to warn you. That's a Taco Bell program. Right? Yeah.
So that one was a little pricey, but I mean, I think it has been kind of cool to go through to go through, and just in our daily interactions with folks.
Yeah.
Looking for ways to, I had a second, I picked up the phone and called somebody that had a health scare. Turned out to be not as bad as they had anticipated. And the relief that news brought to me. And so I was able to just call and talk to this good brother. And, little things like that matter these days.
It matters a ton. I mean, I think it's important for people to know that they're being thought of, and I've been doing the same. I've been working at being intentional about it since we had our last conversation, and I continue to do that, and will continue to do that through this holiday season and beyond. I'm committed to that, but I think, if our listeners haven't been doing that, and I would bet most of them are pretty good at doing that. But if you haven't had the opportunity to just pick up the phone and reach out to someone that you haven't talked to for a while and tell them how much you think of them and what kind of impact they've had on your life. You want to talk about watching or hearing someone's spirits lifted. It's amazing. But I will say this: if you are feeling at all down through this COVID and coping with this COVID mess that we find ourselves in, make that phone call, because your spirits will be lifted. And it's a funny thing about gratitude and kindness, right? We extend that to someone, and yes, it probably impacts them, but boy, does it help us recognize what we're grateful for. So I'm grateful for it. I do it with that, and look, I've told you from the beginning, Mike, you've known me for a long time. I'm a selfish guy. It's all about, I try to make everything about me as much as I can. So,
doing those little things like that really does edify everyone involved.
It does. Yeah. So it's a big deal. So let's continue to be intentional about it, man. There's a lot of people that are struggling right now, and anything that we can do to lift their spirits is a big deal. I would just echo too.
In a couple of episodes in this program, we've talked about the beggars petition.
Mm-hmm.
And are we not all beggars? And I think that as we see those petitions this time around, this holiday season, maybe we respond differently.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe we have Stephen Mitchell in our mind and we're thinking about, right, helping a good brother with a hamburger, or Dave Specht and having some dinner with someone who's down and out, and talking about home.
Or we think about Doug McMullen, right, and his efforts with those that are homeless. And I think that if we can figure out in this life how to shift our view of other people and see them for who they really are, that's a powerful thing. That small thing will change everything inside of us. So I'm a believer in that.
And also in this season of giving, it's very important that a lot of these community organizations, you need to understand that COVID has impacted their ability to raise funds as well. And so with the limited window and the greater need, if we can step into that space, here's what I'm going to challenge you to do, Tyler Gould.
Yeah.
Do you have a change jar?
I do. Yes.
I have a change jar as well. Now, I'm not talking like the one you're doing maybe to send your family to Disneyland or something. So I'm not talking hundreds of dollars. Right. I've got a jar right in my closet where it just gathers the change.
Right.
I'm going to take that. I'm going to put it in a sock, and I'm going to put it in my car. And the first Salvation Army red kettle I see is getting the sock.
Yeah.
It'll be a clean sock, right?
Are you going to keep the sock, or are you giving the sock as well? I mean,
you know what? I'm actually going to, how about this? I'll even sort out all the paper clips and stuff. So they'll actually just get coins. That's very good.
That's generous, man. I like it. Yeah. No, I'm
little things, right? Little things like that. Like the other day, literally, we are a huge Pepsi family, right? So we have bags and bags and bags of blue cans, and I could take it down to the local recycling, and I could stand in line and I could do all of that. I literally just pulled up went to the last person in line, and here, unfortunately, here in Reading, those folks that are in line are, those folks that are in line are struggling, and a lot of them live on the streets. And here we are coming up in the winter. So I literally went up to the person end of the line and said, "Hey, you want my cans?" Right?
Yeah.
Doesn't cost me anything. It actually saved me some time. And man, that person kind of teared up.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think, it's those
things.
small
There's
things
opportunities.
Yeah.
There's opportunities to do it. I need to be better at left hand, right hand, right? Just not letting the left hand know what the right hand is doing and just seeing an opportunity and doing it. But the only reason I share those things is because in an effort to maybe inspire some kind actions, understand that they're all around you. A phone call here.
Right. And I think maybe what you and I can do, Mike, is for our listeners is maybe we can pull together a list of some charitable organizations that we are excited about and throw those up on our website and for people to take a look at. Whatever you are passionate about, let's just roll with that. We'll throw a few things out there that Mike and I get excited about supporting. And if you want to support those, great. If not, you've got something else that you've got in mind. It doesn't matter, right? I mean, I was talking to someone the other day, they were doing a blanket drive. They were just collecting blankets for those that don't have the ability to keep themselves warm at night. And man, that's a great thing. So we'll throw some of those things up there and let our listeners kind of, maybe it'll spark some thoughts and some ideas for them. And shoot, if our listeners have great organizations that they're passionate about, please share. We would love to, to support that as well.
Well, and in the look ahead to things that we are excited about, the idea is to get behind something. If there's a cause out there that we can kind of harness the energy of this program and direct it towards to do some good, we're all about that. So, if there are suggestions, rmitpodcast@gmail.com is our email. And you can let us know. Tyler Gould, I don't know if you caught this, but there's a review or two in our Apple podcast. So
I haven't even
folks,
looked.
we get into milestones, right? We get into some things that we're excited about. Episode 30, we start checking off 7,000 downloads. We check off a review or two. So if you are out there, and many of you have actually texted Tyler and myself, you've emailed us about what the show does. It would be wonderful if you could copy and paste that into a review to help folks that are checking out what podcasts to follow. I think everybody's always, it's like the Netflix shows, right? Everybody's always looking for a good podcast to latch onto. So
we appreciate the kind words for sure. Well, look, I think the exciting thing that we've got that I'm looking forward to is the list. I mean, we do have a list of guests that stretches through January, starting to creep into February. And I'm excited about those people that have agreed to come on. And I'm looking forward to sharing that, this journey with everybody as we move forward into the new year. So Mike, it's there's a lot of things happening, right? It's on and on to the victory, right? Let's just
I think that there's this window, right, with the COVID reality that is whatever it looks like in Chula Vista, what it looks like here in Shasta County, wherever folks are listening to the program, it is a reality. It is still around, and I think that there's a time where we have an opportunity to maybe sharpen that saw.
Yeah.
And understand that this wasn't just going to be a couple of months and gone. We're coming into a flu season, and that's kind of creating a perfect storm of all kinds of kind of madness and mess or whatever.
Yeah,
and it's really important that we take some time this holiday season, whatever that looks like, to sharpen that saw.
Yeah,
we talk about our capacity, right? And sometimes. I'm myself included, I've had a diminished capacity, and I'm blaming circumstances that are outside of my control. And so I would just say, scrap those circumstances outside of my control and try to intensify and increase that capacity to take care of myself, to be there for my family, to make sure that I'm present, that I'm where I need to be this holiday season, and that I'm maximizing the gifts of that season in my life and the lives of other people. But definitely thinking of that Covey habit, right? Sharpening the saw right now.
And I would say this too. I mean, if you find yourself, in the middle of the holidays and it's not the happiest time around and things aren't hitting on all cylinders like you'd like them to be, reach out to somebody and let's, talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to somebody, send Richest Men in Town an email. I don't know what it is, but reach out to somebody and don't shoulder that burden alone. We've all, sometimes we tell ourselves that nobody understands us. Well, I guarantee that there's somebody out there that will listen. And if it's not a friend that you have or a family member that you can think of, there are phone numbers, and we should post those on our website as well, Mike, that you can reach out to that will lend an ear in a painful time. So we understand that not everybody is feeling it. When we talk about capacity, sometimes that becomes that can be overwhelming, and sometimes it can be inspiring. And if it's overwhelming today, reach out to somebody and let them lift you. So,
well, and trust that instinct in your interaction with other people.
Yeah. If
you get a vibe that person's off, that person who's usually in a better place isn't, you might want to ask. And then that, as that campaign went regarding mental health wellness, you might have to ask twice.
Yeah.
You might have to just look at that person and sincerely connect with that person and make sure that they really are okay. It's funny. We were talking about the eternal nature of families, just in some of the driving that we've been doing recently.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you drive 11 hours somewhere.
Yeah, that's right.
But the idea of no empty chairs came up. And I love that idea, that if we truly are linked, if we truly are trying to do this thing together and not in isolation, then it behooves us to do everything that we can to stand in our place. And it behooves us to do everything we can to ensure that the person next to us is in a good place. Because we really don't want empty chairs. Right? We really don't want, we are in the success business of everyone.
Yeah.
We applaud when things go well in the lives of other people. And when things do not go well, we do need to be there for them to just let them know that, hey, we're here.
Amen.
We don't have to have answers.
Right. We don't have to have answers.
Presence.
But it's a great time of year to kind of to make this a practice that moves throughout all of 2021. So I'm excited, man. We've got a lot of fun stuff.
We got to get this stink off, right? We got to get this 2020 stink off, right?
We'll shake it off, right? We'll shake it off. We'll move into 2021 and things will be a little bit happier. But
yeah, and I think that the idea in my mind is that 2021 is just whatever it takes.
Yeah,
whatever it takes, right? I watched Warrior again, Tyler Gould.
Oh man, I need to watch that again. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And you talk about whatever it takes. I don't know if folks have seen the movie Warrior. It's an amazing story, but it's people backs against the wall and they're not going to quit. And I think that to me is a great attitude to take on the challenges that are in our lives right now. We're not going to quit. Quitting is not an option. I re-listened to Sergio.
Yeah.
Right. Winning the right way. Right. When you quit, you lose.
Yep. That's it. Well, look, speaking of quitting, we're about at our limit here tonight, but
let's quit.
Let's quit. But let's think about those things that we talked about tonight and let's be intentional moving forward. And I'm looking forward to next week and our panel and hearing from everybody. So until then, enjoy the richest men in town.
My big brother George, the richest man in town.